To overcome, you must educate. Educate not only yourself, but educate anyone seeking to learn. We are all dead America. We can all learn something. To learn, we must challenge what we already understand. The way we do that is through conversation. Sometimes we have conversations with others. However, some of the best conversations happen with ourselves. Reach out and challenge yourself. Let's dive in and learn something new right now. Today we are speaking with Nick Yerhart. Nick is the host of the Infinite Abilities podcast. He is also a 10X coach. Nick, could you please introduce yourself and let people know just a little more about you, please?
Of course. And first, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited for this. But yeah, I'm Nick Yerhart. I do have cerebral palsy, but I don't let that stop me from doing much of anything. Over the past 4 years, I've dove headfirst into self development and improving my life. And along the way, I became a certified 10X business coach, but I'm also a life coach. So I definitely like helping people improve their lives the way that I did.
I think it's very important what you're doing. And, you know, excuses are out the window before we even get started. When it comes to speaking with Nick, he doesn't allow himself to use excuses. I find you so inspirational in many ways, Nick, and it's comforting to know there's people like you out there doing what you're doing. What got you started into trying to develop yourself and then launch that into the 10X coaching system?
Yeah, so like my whole life, I never really accepted my disability. Like I was always very negative towards it. And, about 4 years ago, shortly after I lost my dad, my whole life got turned around and I went down into a hole, depression, suicidal thoughts. I was just not okay. And I knew that something needed to change. Otherwise, the outcome wasn't going to be good. So, thankfully, I had already been listening to Grant Cardone, who owns 10X, and I'm certified from him. But throughout listening to him, I started to realize that there's more to life. Like, I I could do something for myself. Instead of working a W-2 job like I have been doing since I was 16, I could start my own business. So that kind of got me excited. And throughout listening to him, and I started listening to podcasts, and I ended up finding a podcast called The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dial. And that podcast changed everything because Rob's all about improving your mindset, believing in yourself, loving yourself, growing your self confidence. So I started to take the actions that he was, you know, teaching in his podcast, and I started to become happier with myself. And then that just spiraled into I just wanted to learn everything I could, and that's how I ended up becoming a 10x business coach because I seen an opportunity, I took it, and here we are.
That's huge opportunity. It happens, and if you don't take it when it does happen, it's really frustrating because you'll always regret it. you'll always look back at that moment, that time, and say, oh man, I wish I would have done that. Don't be one of those people. It's simple. And, action, taking that action step, that is critical. A lot of us, we sat on the couch and sat back and we mumble, we grumble about things, but we don't want to take the action step. Tell us what courage was what courage did it take for you to take that action step?
So, like a couple months before I got started into the 10x program, you know, I had already been posting on social media, just getting myself known because I know that, being well known really helps a lot in business. And I originally wanted to get into real estate, but then I seen the opportunity to become a coach, and I felt like I could help more people that way. So, but as far as what action I took, so I had already been taking action. I set up my LLC. I got that going. I didn't really know what exactly I was going to do with it yet, but I was like, you know what? I want to commit. So if I pay the money, set it up, I'm committed. So now I have to do something. So I think that's important. Just commit first and figure the rest out later. So then one day, I got a call from Grant Cardone's office. They offered me the opportunity to become a coach with them, and right away I was like, I want to do this. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it because I definitely didn't have that much money at that time. But I said, let's go. I'll figure it out, and I did. So I just I truly believe that if you see an opportunity and your gut is telling you that you should do it, it doesn't matter if you have the financial means or the know-how. Just do it and then figure it out later.
Yeah, that's a huge step, and that takes a lot of courage. So, talk to us about your dream or your vision for your business, and what does that look like in the future?
Yeah, so the people I really want to help are parents who have children with special needs. I prefer to say special abilities. Um, I started my coaching business towards them, but I quickly found out that unfortunately they don't have a whole lot of extra income a lot of times. So I sat down. I was like, all right, what can I do to grow my business so then I can help them? So what I decided on is I'm more focused on the business coaching because businesses need help. I have all the tools and resources to help them, so I can do that. So what I'm doing is I'm building my business to a point where I can start a foundation, and then I can help the people that I really want to help. So my goal is to help 1 billion people improve the quality of their life.
That's awesome. And I like it that it's not about a short-term goal. You have the broad, big picture in focus at all times. And when we're painting a masterpiece, we really have to inspire it by the size of the canvas that we start with. So don't limit the canvas. That's really one of the big things. And a lot of that takes gratitude. What is your take on having gratitude in life?
Oh, it's so important. I wake up every morning. I have a morning routine. And one of the things in my routine is I journal three things that I'm grateful for. So it's always good just to recognize the things that you're grateful for, because if you don't, you can tend to like be kind of negative and not appreciate things in life. So I think it's very important just to appreciate everything that you can.
Can you share an example of gratitude with us today? What are you grateful for?
Well, I am so grateful for the followers that I have on social media. And now, when I say that, I'm not grateful because I have tens of thousands of followers. I'm grateful because there's tens of thousands of people that are following me that I help every single day. I post videos every day, and every video is going to help someone. So that's another thing that I do. I wake up every morning with the intent to help at least one person that day. So yeah, I'm just super grateful.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, you have to be grateful, and when we have intention like that to wake up and have something in mind, a purpose every day, that is a good way to do our life, because if we don't have intention, we fall into depression and these self-doubting, negative self-talk images that we often get into. We're social and we need that interaction. So what are some of the things that encourage you to take that step of getting out and being social? Because sometimes being social is very tough for many of us.
Oh yeah, well, honestly, I was a big introvert years ago. Like I was shy. I would not talk to people I didn't know. I got very nervous out in public. But now I know my purpose and I have a voice. And if I don't share that, I'm not going to help people. So it makes it very easy for me to get out of bed in the morning because I have a purpose. I I know that today I will help at least one people. Now, honestly, these days it's like at least 100. I would think I help a day, but my goal is always to help one. So yeah, I think it's just important to have that purpose and know what your purpose is. And if you don't know what your purpose is, then every day you should be waking up and have the purpose to find your purpose.
I like that. That is an applause right there, because a lot of us, we'd rather stew in our own despair and you know find the purpose, and it really takes that self motivation and the want or the need to get something else. And it really doesn't come with comfort. Action often takes discomfort to propel you into something else. Can you talk to us about the discomfort that propelled you into trying to find yourself?
Oh yeah, I talk about this a lot in my social media videos. You know, you need to step outside of your comfort zone. That's the only way that you will grow. That's the only way you'll learn, and that's the only way that you'll get further along in life. So for me, as far as the discomfort I went through, man, I was so scared to do my first social media video because I'm someone who, up until that first video in February of 2023, I had never recorded myself on camera because I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I talked. I didn't like the way I moved. And it was very hard for me to hear myself. So that first video I did, I really had to push myself to do it. And if I'm going to be honest, it did take 6 shots of Daniels before I had the courage to actually record that video. But I did it. And then after that, it was almost daily I made a video. And now, I post between 2 to 5 videos every day. And when I record a video now, man, it's super easy. Like I don't have to really think about, it's just it's it's good to know that like the things that you find are outside your comfort zone. Just do it, and then do it again and again and again, and then guess what happens? It's no longer difficult. It's easy. It's normal.
Yeah, and you get very good doing it, and it really surprises you looking back. I have a immense catalog of back episodes that I often go back and I look. I've got episodes that people don't even know how to find that I go back because it's at the very beginning. And sometimes I look at those and go, you were very uncomfortable. And that's very refreshing that you stepped out of that. I when I first started recording episodes, I hated my voice so much that I went and bought music to play in the background so I didn't have to hear myself speaking alone. So that discomfort really can help you grow in many ways. And if you decide to step in and lean into that discomfort and acknowledge that it's there, that's when we find perfection, and you can really build yourself. Nick, I through researching you, I noticed you wrote 2 books and one's on Amazon. Could you talk us to us about your writing experience? Because a lot of us, we want to write a book, but again, that discomfort holds us back.
Yeah. So I actually have three books. But my first one was uh, one of my coaches through the 10X program. She recommended that I write a short little ebook just to have something that I could either sell for cheap or give away. So with that one, that one's a lot about building yourself confidence. Um, I, I should probably read that one again, but I want to say it was 20 tips on how to build yourself confidence. It's a short book. I think it's 36 pages, and that one's extremely helpful. It's got some of my own life stories in it and everything like that. And the coolest thing about that book, though, this what I don't think I told anyone is what I did for that book is at the time when I was making social media video, I was doing Nick's confidence tips. So I had a whole bunch of tips that I would make a video about. And what I did was I took the videos I made and turned it into text and put that in the book. And then I just added a couple of stories here and there. So if you're trying to think of, trying to write a book, think about the things that you've done in the past. And a lot of times you can save yourself a lot of time by going back and using that to write your book. And then my second book is Empowering Motivational Strategies, which is on Amazon. It's a short 46 page book. It takes half hour, 45 minutes to read. That one was more of a challenge to with my accountability group. But we were all challenging each other to get something done and out there to help our business. And I chose to write a book on how to have more motivation. So all I did was took the principles that I had learned over the past, 2 years at that time, and just turned it into a book, you know. And you just I, if you're writing a book, especially like a book like that isn't really about your life or anything like that. It's more of a educational book. I mean, just use Google, just do some research and just get ideas, and then start putting those ideas on paper in your own words. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool. And then my third one is another ebook, and that's about podcasting. The power of podcasting and how it can help your business. So yeah.
Well, that's interesting because podcasting can help your business immensely in many ways. I find the power of podcasting to be so immense because it helps people in so many ways. They educate themselves. For instance, I through my podcasting journey, it's helped me read better. It's helped me study better. It's helped me grow immensely. And the best part is, I get to meet fabulous people all the time. And there are so many inspiring stories that propel you to your next level of podcasting. So, you do a podcast and it's pretty cool. Could you tell people about your podcast and what inspires you to do the podcast?
So I want to start with what inspires me to do a podcast, and that really goes back to me listening to podcasts years ago that actually changed my life and helped me improve every aspect of my life. So I started my podcast to help others. That's what it's all about. Just to help others, help people get through their struggles, help them with their business, help them get ideas for starting a business, everything like that. So yeah, my podcast is called the Infinite Abilities Podcast. You can find it everywhere. And some of my guests I bring on have, special needs themselves. So they can share what it's like to live with what they have, and also to share how they overcome challenges. Because that's not only going to help people understand what it's like, but it's also going to help those who are in similar situations get through their challenges. So I love doing that, and I always learn something. And then I also bring on entrepreneurs to share their story, share why they do what they do, how they help people, and really promote whatever they do. So then it helps them, and it also helps my listeners. And I get to learn a lot from entrepreneurs who are, doing, you know, they're one step ahead of me, so I can get ideas for what I should do.
Yeah, that's really the idea in growth, Nick, is when we want to increase our ability, we have to actually go to where that knowledge lies, and that is often with other podcasters in this case. I'm constantly watching other podcasters, and it helps me develop new skills in podcasting. So, and it's not about being better than somebody else. It's actually about being better myself. And then if others choose to follow, Well, that's a great thing. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, when we talk about overcoming challenges and difficulties, you y- you excel here. You drive a garbage truck on top of everything else, and this amazes me because the way you adapt to be able to do this, it's challenging for many people to do things, but you are a master at overcoming and developing skills. I like how you shared the video of you driving the garbage truck and how you develop the skill of implementing your wristwatch, and talk to us about how you did that and overcome the challenge in your mind of getting into that big monster and driving it.
Yeah, so one thing I live by is I don't say I can't. I say how can I? Because now I'm searching for solutions. So with anything I do, almost everything I do daily is a challenge. I don't do things like everybody else can. I have my own way of doing things. So as far as driving a garbage truck, now driving the truck itself is no different than any other vehicle. And I can do that easily. But with the truck that I shared in that video, that's one of the trucks that has that arm on the side that picks up the garbage can. So because of that, there's a joystick inside the cab to operate the arm. And in the video, there's a little lever on top of the joystick, which is what operates the little fingers on the arm that actually grab the can. Well, when I first started driving that truck, I would have my left hand on the joystick, and then I had to reach over with my right hand to operate that little tiny lever because my thumb doesn't work, like everybody else's. So like everybody else could just use their thumb. Well, I couldn't do that, and I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm just saying I have my own way of doing it. So after and a few hours of reaching over, to hit that little lever, my back started to hurt, my arm started to hurt. So I was like, all right, there's gotta be a better way. And I just I sat there and I looked at him like, all right, how can I do this? And I just like, I wonder if my watch band will like go underneath the little head of the lever so I can use my watch. And it worked. So then from that moment on, that's exactly what I did. And as you've seen in the video, it worked out really good.
Yeah, it just blew me away. It's like you never say you can't do something. It's so inspiring when people can see that sort of a video, and it makes them question themselves so deep. And I love that to the core. I want to also talk about, I witnessed a video where you explained that position was threatened by a doctor. How did that feel? And what did that make you feel like when that instance occurred?
Yeah, so I mean, it all started when I went to get my, regular driver's license, and when I went to get that, the they told me I couldn't, and I was like, "Well, I can because I grew up on a farm. I got my first pickup when I was 11 years old. I have already been driving for 4 years, so I was like, don't tell me I can't do something that I've been doing for 4 years, you know." So I did have to go see doctors, neurologists, and go through a bunch of tests for them to approve me to drive, you know, and it was just annoying. It was just like I understand, but in the same sense, don't say I can't at first. Well, because that's what they did. They said, nope, you can't get a license. Don't do that. That's wrong. Just simply said, unfortunately, due to your disability, there's laws and we have to, follow it. And you need to go get more testing done to make sure that you are safe to drive. That would be totally cool, but that's not how it goes. But, you know, I went through, I did all the tests that they wanted, and then I could finally go and do the regular, driver's ed class and the test with that. So I had to go through, 5 times the amount of testing as anybody else. But I did it. I got my license at 16, just like everybody else. And, you know, 5 years later, my dad owned a garbage company, so obviously I needed to get my commercial driver's license so I could drive all the trucks. So I thought it was going to be easy like everyone else because I was like, well, I already have my license. So, there's not much difference between driving a garbage truck and a car. I mean, obviously, they're bigger, heavier. They have air brakes instead of hydraulic brakes. But like, I already knew all about the trucks because I had been around them since I was like 13 years old. So I already knew what everything did, how they worked, and so I go to get CDL, and you have to get what's called a medical card. So basically, you go get a physical, you take a drug test, you do all that, and then you get the card. And every 2 years, you have to renew it to keep your CDL. Well, when I went to go get that, I got denied by a doctor, and the doctor said you will never get your CDL. So once again, I had to fight and go see more doctors and get more tests done and go through all that again. And then I was able to get my CDL. Now, the part about that sucks is, I've had my CDL for what is it, 12 years now, and I've gotten it taken away 5 times just because of that medical card. And the laws will change, so then the paperwork changes, and somebody didn't check this box for this box. So nothing I did. It was just the the physician or the doctor that did my medical exam didn't do things right, so therefore I would lose my license. And there was one time where I lost it, and the doctor I was going to, said that they couldn't do it anymore because something changed and they're not licensed or whatever it was. So I went to see a new doctor. This isn't going to be a big deal. I just go get the physical again. I can get my medical card, and then they'll reinstate my license. Oh no, this was a big challenge because the doctor walks in, and within 5 minutes, he says, "Nick, I'm not gonna do your physical because I'm not approving you to get your medical card, and I'm also going to take your normal driver's license away from you because I don't believe that you should be on the road." I looked him up and said, "Hmm, what tests have you done, and what do you know about me?" He's like, "Well, I can see you." I said, "Oh, so the way I walk, the way I walk, and the way that my hands work, you can make that judgment?" He's like, "Yep." So that was a big, you know, challenge to get through, but we made it through. I got a different doctor, and um, I I don't know if that doctor lost his job because of that. I hope so, because wasn't right at all. And because I've been driving since I was 11, but on the road since I was 16, and I have no accidents. Though I've been involved in a couple, but none of them were my fault. So, but it's like I have more hours behind the wheel than that doctor did. I guarantee it. And I have basically no accidents. So it's like, who are you to tell me I can't drive? It's just things like that. Just it gets old. It really does.
Yes. And I very well understand that, when we're dealing with those people that make you feel inferior, it's really discriminatory. And it's obvious that you have a passion and a drive to do good in the world, and it's hiccups when we run across people like that. It's not about a disability, it's about what abilities you do have. And that can change your whole outlook. So, yeah, start looking at the people's abilities, not disabilities, because, you know, after me receiving my own disability, I've come to the conclusion we're all disabled. If we really take that focus away from being disabled, because it's really, we just have to readjust and rediscover new ways of doing things like the watch, and that's really important for people to figure out. And I'm just now getting to that point, Nick, where I'm figuring out I don't have to be disabled. I can actually share my abilities. And this is where, I'm older now, but yet I have so much to give and I don't want to sit around and do nothing. So I have to educate myself and try to understand and develop a way to come at life in a different new perspective. And that's kind of a challenge that we all have to live with. And we don't need people that are going to be putting dampers on us. We want to be around people that uplift us and encourage us and sometimes help us, because we all need help. Talk to us about needing help at some time.
Yeah, I love this topic because like I said before, I don't say I can't. Instead, I say how could I? And now with that, there's some situations where if I need to do a task, instead of me saying, "Oh, I can't do that," I find someone who can. So I ask for help. Because there's things in life where you know I don't use knives. Not a good idea for me to use a knife. So therefore, I ask family or friends to cut my food or whatever. You know, I don't use the oven because me trying to get something out of the oven, I will get burnt. I guarantee it. So I'm just not going to put myself in that situation. So therefore, I ask for help. And a lot of people have a problem with asking for help. They just want to do everything themselves. Well, yes, it's good to figure out what you can do for yourself. So, I mean, I always try something at least once. You know, I have cooked in the oven. I do occasionally use a knife, but I try not to. You know, so it's good to know that I can if I need to. But if it's something dangerous or something extremely difficult, or maybe it's literally going to hurt you if you do it, don't be afraid to ask for help. And people are always more than willing to give you a hand. But with that being said, don't take advantage of it. Don't use people. You know, don't be lazy. Don't make people do stuff for you just because you don't want to do it. You know, instead, make sure that if you need help, it's something that you actually need help with. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. Taking advantage of people is not a good thing. And many of us, we don't have it in us to live right at times. So by sharing these stories, people can actually look on and learn to emulate these stories. And that's what the power of podcasting is. Education is important, Nick. I need to know, how do you educate yourself? Because I think it's a lifelong thing, and every day we learn something new. So take us through the journey of educating yourself.
So number one, podcast. I was like, I love listening and learning from podcasts. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. But the next thing that I do is um, I read at least one book every week. And sometimes I don't actually physically read. I listen on Audible. But with Audible, I can usually get through 2 books a week on them. So what people need to know is there's somebody out there who has the success you want, or has the marriage you want, the relationship, the family you want. And guess what they did? They wrote a book about it. So books are so powerful. There is a book out there to teach you anything you need to know. So I highly recommend getting Audible, or just buying a physical book and reading. You know, and they say that the average American reads one book a year. And on average, I read one book a week. So I read 51 more books a year than the average American. Now just think of where that puts me at the end of the year versus the average American, you know? And it's something as simple as that, just read a book a week, you know? Your average book, it takes, what, 5, 6 hours to read? So there you go, an hour a day. Sit down at night at the end of the day. I think that's the best time, and just read. I think it's so important.
Yeah, and it also helps build the cognitive function with you. Keep you sharper, and it really is something. If you don't use it, you'll lose it, and it's so true. So, have we missed anything in our conversation today that you think that people really need to know?
So I just wish that I could see more people out there who are striving for the life that they actually want, instead of settling for the life that they were told they were going to have. Well, we all grow up, and our family, our friends, they live a certain way, and we tend to follow in their footsteps instead of discovering who we are and what we want. So I would encourage everyone, sit down and think about your life and what you want out of life and what you want people to remember you for. And after all of that's done, set some goals, find people that can help you reach your goals, and get out there and make it happen.
Yeah, that's good advice, Nick. So let's end it by telling people a little bit about your services, your business, and how you can get a hold of Nick.
Okay. So you can get a hold of me by going to my website. It's nickyerhart.com, NICKYERHART.com. And on there, you find everything I do. You'll find my social media links, everything. The services I do offer life coaching. So if you need some help, improving your mindset, your confidence, your marriage, like we kind of cover it all, and you know, some people may go, well, I don't need help with that. Well, I would encourage you to get on a call with me so we can chat, because you might realize something that you don't know yet. And then I'm also a certified 10x business coach with Grant Cardone. So if you have a business and you want to take it to the next level, which I don't know why you wouldn't, get a hold of me, because I have all of Grant Cardone's tools and resources to help your business grow. And then the thing that I'm really enjoying right now is I help people with their podcast. So if you have a podcast, I can help you improve it. I can help you generate revenue through your podcast. If you don't have one, but you want one, which you should, because podcasting is awesome, then get a hold of me, because I can help you get started and get everything rocking and rolling. And again, help you create revenue with your podcast. So let's make it happen.
I like it a lot. When you talk about getting it done, you have to start someplace, and that means reaching out and getting a hold of somebody that knows what's going on. Nick, it is such a delight having you on the podcast. It's awesome to have somebody that's so inspirational, and I really do appreciate what you do. And I want to say thank you for being part of the podcast today.
Of course, it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. If you found this podcast enlightening, entertaining, educational in any way, please share, like, subscribe, and join us right back here next week for another great episode of Dead America Podcast. I'm Ed Waters, your host. Enjoy your afternoon, wherever you may be.